Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great evening. So I want to talk about today Zen crypto, the next Zen, right? What's going on in the Zen crypto world? It seems that people are still buying Zen. Um, Zen is doing fairly well, but it would seem that and some of this might be that, with the post chain launching, I don't know if some of the attention might have got taken off of Zen, but some people kind of feel Zen is kind of going into this stagnation a little bit, right? Um, and I don't know, that's just how some of the community feels. I think obviously the problem is when Zen gets on networks, it destroys these networks, and that doesn't work very well. And some are saying that Jack Levin is more interested now in Bitcoin ordinals. People are trying to connect the dots. How does the vampire token on Bitcoin help Zen cryptocurrency? Although it's the same people involved, there doesn't seem to be any specific direct connections, right? So is this going to spawn other Zens, better Zens? And we're going to talk about that today in this video. So first, let's look at some notes. We're here on Bitcoin MYK. Now, Bitcoin MYK is a pretty interesting cryptocurrency. The reason it's called Bitcoin MYK is because similar to Zen, it goes after the biggest network in cryptocurrency, which makes sense, which is Bitcoin. It suggests that Bitcoin would mass adopt or have far more users than it had if it had a better distribution system, a direct distribution system, and an easier onboarding uh, uh, user interface, right? Very to get people on, and of course these are many of the main issues in cryptocurrency. But Bitcoin MYK, in an interesting way, takes a look at it, goes straight for the jugular in a way to solve those problems. So let's just take a look at some notes. But first, I want to read a passage about Metcalfes Law. So I think this makes sense to many of you all. Okay, so let's read the simplest definition of Metcalfe's Law. Metcalfe's Law says that every time you add a new user to a network, the number of connections increases proportional to the square of the number of users. The law says the value of a network is proportional to the square of the number of nodes in the network, right? So, in very simple terms, every time a network adds a user, this point of connection, it could be an account, it could be running a node, it could be whatever the case may be. Metcalfe's law states that the value of that network, what it's worth, has to increase. And this seems to be a fact. It doesn't seem to be any way around this, even if we look at social networks where we can kind of log on them free and use them free. As they get more members in, we've seen many become multi-billion-dollar to trillion-dollar networks, right? All right. So according to Metcalfe's law here on Bitcoin MYK, then every time somebody gets an account, they add some value to the network. Now, this value can depend. If you look at something like some of the standard social media networks, they can go up from hundreds of dollars to nearly thousands of dollars. Um, that is before any financial capabilities are added, in which case, if some type of banking payment gateways are added, those accounts can then increase on average up to a value of about $4,000 each, right? And I find all that very, very interesting, right? Very interesting. Now, and of course, it depends on exactly what you're doing. Also, it really doesn't uh, matter the reasons people join the networks. It's just their presence there, their attention value gives the network value, right? Typically, anytime somebody's joining the network, obviously there is a reason for that, right? And we're going to explain what some of those reasons could be, why so many people are starting to join Bitcoin MYK every single day. The thing to keep in mind is that besides people coming into the network joining, it's also going to depend on how easy is it for them to join. For example, let's take something like Instagram or Facebook. Let's say I started it and I was charging $20 a month to have an account there, right? What would happen to the billions of users on those networks? They would probably reduce, right? Probably you probably have a lot of people wouldn't join the network. So what those costs would do is create a barrier of entry. This is the similar problem to what's happening on Zen, and that's why I say, even though I'm a big fan of Zen, I think it did a great job of driving home to people you can have value when a cryptocurrency can be free. Under Metcalfes Law, you can still have value, but I don't think Zen executed that to the most optimal level. And I think what tends to happen in many of these cryptocurrency projects, like even if you take something like Hex and Postchain, where you have these figures larger than life, you have this kind of self-help guru, some would say con man, or whatever you want to say, Richard Hart, who can draw a crowd, who's good at marketing, right? But the products he's marketing might miss a lot of important details. And then you might have somebody like Jack Levin, who was one of the first Google employees, probably very intelligent when it comes to networks and databases and so on, probably well connected, knowing people like Larry Page and the Google founders. And then kind of on a celebrity level himself. So these people are going to have a great impact on creating these networks because of the notoriety of them. So I'm very glad Zen was able to show people and drive home the point that projects can be free, but not only can a cryptocurrency be free, transactions can be free, and you still have a very valuable cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, both of these figures, I think, miss pivotal parts or very important parts to the equation, and that is, if Metcalfe's law is true, which it is, then the greatest way to build value under Metcalfe's law is to lower the barrier of entry, and in many cases that can mean free. Now, Richard Hart early on with Hex and Post, he kind of touched on that with many of the free Hex and such you would get. Obviously Jack does a version of that, but they do it on inefficient chains where people are still trying to centralize the holding of the wallets, the wealth, etc. All of the things that decrease the value of a network, right? The argument is that their cryptocurrencies have value because they put up this large barrier of entry. But let's just take a look at Bitcoin. Let's look at them all. Bitcoin wouldn't even be considered a top level a network, social network or anything like that, right? There are many networks larger than that. There are companies, just sole companies in America that are bigger than Bitcoin, right? And so the point I'm making, guys, is that Bitcoin is hindered by not being a free cryptocurrency, right? And you might have to rewind the video. You might have to let that sit with you a while, but that is the truth. And Bitcoin MYK is saying it could do it better, and it will do it better. It will, on paper, prove that it is far better than Bitcoin in that regard in every way. Let's quickly take a look at some notes I made here. According to Elon Musk, we will need some form of universal basic income, or what I like to call the citizen's dividend, right?
But cannot do better. Okay. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen.
So what I found is that there are two types of people in this world that you can't reason with. And that is a drunk and a gambler. And in cryptocurrency, we have many gamblers. We have many casino goers, right? So what I want you all to understand who watch this video is that the first thing I want you to understand is if you got the first part of the video about Metcalfes Law, then you would understand how value comes into a network, right? At least you have some general idea. The next part I want people to understand is that Bitcoin MYK isn't a project about convincing you to get into it, right? This isn't another meme coin or get rich quick scheme overnight. What Bitcoin MYK is an economic prosperity project that is not saying that this may happen. It is saying that it will happen. And not only will it happen, there are going to be many projects that are going to be created that are going to solve the problem of automation, are going to solve many of our social and political woes in relation to our economic distress. All right? But if you've understood all of that so far, let me move on to this part in these notes I've taken. So each month, our token supply will adjust to market prices. Value tokens may vary. Each account will receive over $1,000 per month in value. Now, let me explain what that means, right? So we got the Metcalfes Law part, right? Now what's happening is Metcalfes Law is creating a value to push out $1,000 per month per user, right? Now, so it's only going to print it when the new people come in, right? So every time a new person comes in, the value is going to go into the network, circulate back in the form of a token. And these are going to become an enabled wallet with your social media, with your banking, your wallet there. And the reason people will want to hold this wallet is because you're going to have the value of the citizens dividend in it adjusting every month. Meaning if the token price keeps dropping and dropping, more of the coin is going to be issued and issued. There's not going to be a limit to them. It's going to be inflationary, right? Now, the liquidity is going to come from the mining of the actual token called the Bitcoin MYK token, which is like gold, limited supply, and it will provide the payment for the issuance of the citizens dividend or the Bitcoin MYK inflation token, right? And so that's basically kind of more related to Bitcoin. Think about how Bitcoin miners work. This is, or just compare it. Just imagine if Bitcoin used its value in the network right now to pay every wallet holder the citizens dividend and universal basic income. That's why we call this a fork of Bitcoin. And that's why we think it's a better Bitcoin, because not only are our wallets a lot easier, what we envision is a lot of people holding our wallets because, like, why would I want to hold somebody else's wallet when the Bitcoin MYK wallet, just for holding it, is going to give me a value of about $1,000 per month, every month just for holding it, right? Now, some people will say, well, it's going to be worth zero. Don't want to go back down that road because we've already been through that with Zen. We've already explained Metcalfes Law, so we don't want to do that. Just like how we see members joining the site every day, joining our platform every day, that's likely to continue, and that's just going to keep scaling up and up. That's the reason value is going to go. That's why we have a market now. That's where value transacts through the cryptocurrency even now. Also remember our version of gold, which we call our Bitcoin MYK native token, in the end is only going to be about 5 million coins, right? So They will swell to a great value, we believe, in this type of system, creating a great deal more value, right? Now, some people might say, Zen, oh, well, Zen is the greatest. Well, here's the problem. Zen, again, we applaud the actions of the Zen community, but we just don't feel like it addresses the problem. What Zen has done is it has created an alienation on the Ethereum network. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, if you look at Zen, Zen's only true value lies on Ethereum. Now, why does it lie on Ethereum? Because Ethereum isn't a blockchain that is basically user friendly to the average person out there, right? It is the blockchain for venture capitalists to dump money in. It is for banks to dump money in. It is not really for the retail investor. It is not really for the people in the community I think it should be meant for. And that's just the facts, right? That's just the facts. Even how Ethereum works, you can, and these Ethereum-based wallets and chains, you can see that this isn't really for the average user, right? This isn't something that people are going to want to interact with on a day-to-day basis. It's going to be a lot more efficient systems than that. And yes, it could come that Ethereum develops these systems, but Bitcoin NYK has them now, and people will use first mover advantage to use the products that are available to them now. So the crypto wallets are the greatest barrier of entry, as we underline. The other thing is Jack Levin, is he still interested in Zen, right? So, he seems to be moving more into the total decentralized area where he wants the community to kind of do everything. Now, unfortunately, I think cryptocurrency is still in its infancy, and because of that, crypto's still looking towards leaders. They're still looking for figureheads like Richard Hart. They're still looking for people to lead them. So they're not totally ready to embrace decentralization altogether. And I think part of the issue is like, if Jack Levin doesn't, seem to take an interest anymore in it, or if he wants to jump over to Bitcoin and we can't connect the dots from the Vampire token back to Zen projects, I think that Zen could suffer as a result of that. The value could go down, and it could just look like Jack's, more interested in products on Bitcoin that are probably going to do fairly well going up in value, right? And so to me, that kind of, if that's the case, I'm not saying it necessarily is, it just seems that way. But it would seem to me that Jack's kind of abandoning the idea of free cryptocurrencies and Zen more for the same old things we've had, which isn't going to create mass adoption in the effect in the vision that we saw originally with Zen, right? They keep launching on high fee chains, post chains, high fee. They don't want to deal with free transaction systems that are going to bring all these people in and under Metcalfes Law create value. See, it seems to me nobody truly wants to build products that really work over the long haul. It seems everybody's a meme coin and just wants to build a meme coin for a few months, it go up in value, dump it, get out and get into something else, or start a new project or do something else. And that's not going to work as a solution solving true problems, right? So I hope you guys are hearing me out and understanding exactly, what I'm saying about how inflation works, because it's something like Bitcoin and NYK inflation token will work. And that is because if we look at something like gold, and let's compare gold to Bitcoin, let's look at that. Do you understand that people through antiquity, going back to the 19th century, were poor mostly because of hard money, meaning that there wasn't enough to go around. So when there is inflation on money, or you have these currencies as such, it's creating new economies because it's allowing value transfer to get in a lot more people's hands. Gold had gotten so bad, people were trying to do transactions with gold dust when they couldn't get the nugget. And obviously, gold was not the best way to transact money, for many reasons, and so that didn't work. So comparably, the more Zen is on high fee chains, the more it becomes gold and out of people's hands, right? So I hope some of that makes sense to you all. I'd love to have a discussion about it with you all. But the Bitcoin, and I hope that explained the Bitcoin MYK inflation token. It will be out very soon. I know we've been saying it was going to come out last week, but I promise you it's not going to be like any Richard Hart or Zen projects or anything like that. It's going to come out very soon. And when I say very soon, I'm typically speaking like within a week. So it'll be hitting your wallets. It will have a presence on Post Chain and these other products and such, but and so it will be available in multi-chain in many communities. But the real value proposition to it that's really going to create the value is going to be on free transactional systems, right? And we have delegated proof of stake models that satisfy that. We have governance models and adjudication groups that satisfy that decentralize the network and help us to accomplish all those things, right? So I believe this is going to be the best project in cryptocurrency. I believe because it's only going to be 5 million Bitcoin MYK tokens, our version of gold. It's going to create many of those high value opportunities for those of you all who are hardwired into that. And for those of you all who just want to be free from this horrible economy and these economic woes, then it's going to definitely satisfy that for you all as well. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk in the beginning, but it will be the system that's going to give you the most value in the end. I believe it's Jared Banfield just did a video on how much people lose on these altcoins. That there aren't as many people getting rich off cryptocurrency as you think, right? So many of you guys are living in a fantasy world. And that's why I always ask the question, who are these people that you think are these multimillionaires from cryptocurrency? Point them out. Show them to me, right? And why isn't it ever you? You see what I'm saying? Because I think that one thing, if it was you, you probably wouldn't be doing YouTube videos or on YouTube, right? For many other people who get out here and tell you that you're going to become a millionaire on these projects, whether it be Zen or whether it be Hex or such. So a lot of that is just fantasy. But these are real. This is a real project that can really give you economic prosperity. That can put extra $1,000, $2,000 per month in your wallet every month, or we can drive the space to force the space to make that a reality for us just by joining the network. So I believe or either way, this is going to become the model for cryptocurrency overall. In other words, it's not going to just be Bitcoin MYK. The entire thing is going to move into that, because the citizens dividend, cryptocurrency is one of the best models it works on, right? It's almost like they were meant to exist together. They were created for one another. It's almost like the citizens dividend, universal basic income, wasn't meant to exist until blockchain technology came about. And the reason I'm saying that is because if any nation tries to do universal basic income, that nation can drive people into various forms of slavery, under certain types of compliance that they don't want to be a part of. So that's why I say blockchain technology allows us to get from under that thumb. That's all I want to say in this video. Guys, if you hear what I'm saying, join Bitcoin MYK if you can get beyond the hopium and the gambling as such. All these negative vices that are not going to work for you, more likely. Then you can hear me and you can join Bitcoin MYK. That's all I want to say in this video. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.